Good evening. You're connected to The Next Word. I'm your host, Chris Warnke, and tonight we have a very special guest, Mr. Jerome Hodge, who started his company of aviation maintenance 18 years ago, and it's thriving here in the Baltimore, Washington region, but he's now taken a whole new initiative to train young students in the aviation maintenance business through his new nonprofit, the Major Anderson Tuskegee Aviation Academy. And
How you doing tonight, Christine?
Jerome, my hat's off to you. You started your company 18 years ago. You're a service-disabled, veteran-owned company.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Yes. You started, what, April 2nd?
April 1st of 2000.
2000
was our start date.
And look where you've come to date. I've seen your facilities on the BWI site.
Right.
They're very impressive.
Thank you.
And I've seen where your school's going to be, your academy.
Absolutely.
Which is right next to your facilities.
Right. It's located in our hangar, plus we've got classroom space.
So first, I want to say I thank you for your vision. That you now know what needs to be done, because we need 160,000 more
mechanics over
the next 10 years.
And that's just in the U.S.
And that's just in the U.S. And I see
right.
what's happening internationally in terms of how many more hundreds and hundreds of new airports will be built.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is remarkable, and I can't say thank you enough for that. First of all.
Well, thank you. I mean, what we do or are doing as a company, kind of came out of our own need.
Right.
I've got approximately 50 mechanics that are working for me between the 3 airports here in the D.C. area, and between the hiring by the airlines and folks going out and going out for additional skill sets, it kept keeping skilled and qualified mechanics was getting to be tougher and tougher.
And that's a result of a couple of things, right?
Absolutely.
9/11.
9/11 happened, which for initially half the schools in the country closed, and they have not reopened.
Wow.
And then you've got the Vietnam era, veterans that are retiring, and the military is not bringing in as many people as they did, as they have in years past. So consequently, not enough mechanics are getting out and coming over to the civilian sector. And then young people are getting more interested in computers rather than the hands-on of actual working on aircraft.
This is a terrific career path for young people.
Absolutely.
Going back though, when you started your company, it wasn't easy.
Oh,
sure.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't, right?
No, absolutely.
And today you're in 3 airports in the region.
That's
correct. I know you're looking at other airports outside the region.
Yes, we are.
But the 3 in the region are Baltimore,
Washington, Ronald Reagan, and Washington Dulles.
Right.
We're at all 3 airports in the D.C. region. Yes.
And you serve the corporate, obviously the companies.
Yeah, our primary customers are the airlines, American, the Uniteds, Northwest and Delta. In fact, pretty much every U.S. carrier is our customer at one of the 3 airports, plus international.
Oh, that's terrific.
We are an FAA certified repair station, Federal Aviation Administration, and we're also certified by the Europeans.
Yes, which is
to
huge.
work on aircraft. So we've got international customers as well as U.S. customer base.
So is it your vision as well as your intent to bring some of these international students, or vice versa, to go over and train?
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Maybe
right.
both. We've talked to people about bringing students over, internationally to get training, and then the possibility of down the road somewhere, maybe 1 or 2 locations, look at maybe setting up, training, overseas, because of the need and the requirement.
Right.
The unique thing about, getting what's called an FAA airframe and power plant license, if you get a U.S. FAA license, you can go anywhere in the world and work. Anywhere in the world.
Really?
You're employable. But if you necessarily get a license from some of these other countries, you can't do that.
You cannot do that.
We don't recognize their license. They still have to go through the process when they get here.
So the process itself, what is it? Is it a 6 months?
No. The FAA requires that they actually have 1,920 hours of training minimum.
Minimum.
And if you can imagine, that's a full year, not 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's like a full-time job.
Right.
So most programs are actually between, 18 months to 2 years. We're actually going to have a 12-month program.
That's what.
And it's going to, in addition to that, we're going to, at the end, all of our kids are going to, and our young people are going to roll into a 90-day apprenticeship with my company, where they actually get actual aircraft maintenance, hands-on experience, and get certified, in the 2 most prolific airplanes out there in the world.
Oh, that's terrific.
Absolutely.
So you've accelerated the training somewhat.
Right. We've compressed and accelerated training. Our program is actually 2,080 hours of training. So we're going to do a little bit more. And in addition to that, it's going to be 90 days of apprenticeship that are tacked on the end. So we're looking at a 15-month program. And at the end of that 15 months, they'll be able to go out pretty much anywhere and get a job.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Because how many, in the last, let's say, 10 years and the projected next 10 years, how many airports are we even looking at here in the United States? we're...
Just in the U.S. alone, like I said, it is phenomenal. Airlines, right now, after the recession, every airline out there, after the mergers, they're growing. Every day there's more and more, airlines being, out there, they're formed and they're flying. Yeah. New airplanes are coming online, new technology. And you've got, like I said, my era, the Vietnam era, that group that's retiring off. And so that leaves a huge shortfall, right, in what's needed. And that's why Boeing says 167,000 in the U.S. alone, over the next 10 years. So you can see that that's a lot of students and a lot of jobs, in the U.S. here alone. And we're talking about jobs that pay from $50,000 to $100,000 a year.
Right, which is terrific.
Which is starting pay.
With the retail market as it is today, and that's
pretty good.
Yeah.
You can go to school for a year and a half, and then immediately. And the only requirement is you have to be able to, high school graduate or equivalent, really? And can be able to get through the program, and you can get an AP license.
So through your program, through the academy, of course, your target would be the high school, the graduating high school?
Absolutely. We're looking at associating ourselves with a local community college. I won't name them right now because we're still in final talks to put it together. But we're going to be associated with a community college, and we'll be targeting both that community college group that's looking for either a associate's degree or maybe a bachelor's degree in engineering, and also the kids coming out of high school, and even those folks that are just looking for veterans coming back from overseas. That's going to be a big, target market, looking to retrain, and then get out there in the world with, licenses, and then also, those young people that are just underemployed and they're looking to change their life around. A year and a half from the time that they start our program, they can go out there with a job, a skill set.
Wow, tremendous skill set.
Employable, absolutely. And it's not just, and here's the other part that's really neat. As an aircraft mechanic, it's just not the airlines that hire you. If you think about it, all the theme parks, all the motorcycles, all of those things that make them run are the same thing you learn as an aircraft mechanic: pneumatics, hydraulics, electronics. Those are all subsections that you learn, as an aircraft mechanic.
And a lot of people depend on your skill set.
Absolutely.
So it's a terrific. So the academy is named after Major Anderson.
Major Anderson.
So he was a sheet metal. He started as a sheet metal worker.
Absolutely. Major Anderson is one of the original Tuskegee Airmen. Right. Which is the black airman that went World War II that segregated out of the Army Air Corps, and he was a sheet metal mechanic. That went in. He's 94 years old today.
Amazing.
His birthday was last week, actually. He's 94 years old. He's still here. He gets around. He drives. He gets around. Goes back and forth to meetings. I talk to him, every other day or so. He's excellent help. I hope that I live to be that long.
Unbelievable. And to drive.
Yeah, be able to get out there and make things happen. Absolutely.
Because there's an active Tuskegee Airmen chapter.
Absolutely.
In this region.
Which one of the largest chapters
in the nation.
Actually, I'm an
honorary member.
One of the largest chapters here is right here in the D.C.
area. Is in the D.C. area, right?
Absolutely.
How many living airmen are left, actually?
I can tell you, in our chapter alone, and like I said, we represent the largest chapter, us in the L.A. chapter. Right. I think right now we've got about 9 or 10 actual airmen that are still, with us. Yeah. You can imagine that they're in their mid to late 90s, so, every day it gets to be, more and more going off. But, in the U.S., I couldn't tell you the exact number. But there's not a lot left. Right. So. But
Jerome, there's a tie that you've had to the Tuskegee.
Absolutely. I'm a member of the Tuskegee. I've been ever since about 12 or 13 years in the active duty military. When I found out about the Tuskegee, I joined when I was active duty, and I've been participating now for well over 25 years or so as a member, in helping deal with what they're about, which is pretty much. Educating on youth, providing educational opportunities for aviation and airlines and flying those kinds of things.
And targeted towards minority populations.
Targeted toward minority population, but we don't limit ourselves.
Right.
We provide scholarships every year, to any kid that's willing to submit an application, we'll provide scholarship money. And then we also, allow kids to go through, and we, give them the ability to those that are really dedicated to a minimum of 15 hours of flying time. And I have a summer maintenance academy that I run that we actually pay kids to come in and expose them to what aviation maintenance is like.
Which is
that
terrific.
The Tuskegee Airmen sponsor.
Oh, really? Oh, wow,
Absolutely.
That's terrific. So that's on your site.
We actually do that at the Baltimore location.
Baltimore. So this new project, which is going to be, the school's going to be launched actually or open May 5th?
Well, we're going to have a grand opening May 5th.
Grand opening May 5th.
We'll have a grand opening ceremony where we bring everybody out, bring your checkbook.
Right, right.
But it'll be the actual classroom, the first class will be 17th August of this year. Will be the first group that comes through.
And I know you've invited a number of dignitaries.
Absolutely. We've asked the governor and a lot of folks to come out, hopefully, and share with us to, the honor both the legacy of what we're doing and the jobs that we're going to benefit, going forward.
It's huge. I mean, it's tremendous for the whole, community and the region and the country.
Absolutely.
How many are there like that in the region?
Schools. There's only two. There's actually two active in this area. There's one in Hagerstown, which is Pittsburgh Institute of Technology, which is actually we had a offshoot in Hagerstown, and there's the University of District of Columbia. They've got a program, and then there's another program.
Air maintenance?
Of aircraft maintenance. Okay. Yeah. District of Columbia actually has a program at Washington Reagan Airport. Is where they base them out of. A lot of people don't know about it, but they've actually got a pretty good program.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
and then the another one. There's one out in Manassas. That's a commercial program, but I won't talk about them too much.
So we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back.
Okay, great.
I want to hear more about your history.
Okay.
Okay. You're watching The Next Word. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, baby. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back. You're watching The Next Word, and I'm your host, Chris Warnke. Tonight we are interviewing Mr. Jerome Hodge, who is the CEO and founder of Avdyne Aviation Maintenance Company out here in Baltimore, Maryland, as well as the founder of the Major Anderson School of Aviation Maintenance Academy. And he is launching it May 5th in Baltimore, and it's going to be an incredibly wonderful project and initiative for young people throughout the state of Maryland and the whole entire region.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, and Jerome, really, I know we're going to watch a video just to see how good it is going to be.
That's right. Well, we've got a little video that we did, and it kind of shows a little bit of both the legacy, who we are and what we're about, and then what we're attempting to do with the students that are obviously going to be coming forward. I'm a retired Master Sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. I'm also the owner and operator of Avdyne Aero Services. Primarily, we work on contract work for major airlines. We have current locations at all three airports in the Washington, D.C. area. As a result of what I'm doing as the owner of an aviation maintenance company, one of the things that I've found is that there's a thorough and a sore need for new mechanics. And what we've done from an in-house training program and a platform, I thought we could take and expand on by bringing additional mechanics in and making it easier for our kids to be able to come in and learn the trade of how to work on and fix airplanes.
Hello, my name is Gustavus McLeod. I guess the best thing about me to me is I'm a pilot, an aviator. I'm the first person to fly an open cockpit airplane to the North Pole. When my first grade teacher asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody said fireman, policeman. I said airplane pilot. I don't think I knew what an airplane pilot was at 6, but somehow I said airplane pilot. And after that trip, I was an airplane pilot.
So 2 years ago, I started the process of what it was going to take to set up and open an airframe and power plant school, where we would actually teach the kids how to get their license and become certified FAA mechanics. And so now we're on the cusp of opening the Major Anderson Tuskegee Aviation Maintenance Academy. We've named it after Major Anderson, who is an original Tuskegee Airman, who was also a line mechanic that worked on the aircraft back in that time frame.
My name is Major Anderson. In 1941, when World War II was declared, I was sent to a maintenance school. The occupation that I was trained was to be an aircraft sheet metal repairman. I feel as though it's unbelievable to represent and be a spokesman for those great Tuskegee airmen. And I thank my Lord and Savior for allowing me to continue the legacy of such a great organization.
I'm here to support Jerome in his new school because what he's doing for the community and giving back to aviation. Jerome's probably one of the best mechanics I know. He's gifted at it. And anybody who learns in Jerome's school has got to be the best of it.
Our first class will be January of 2018, a 2-year program where once an individual young man or woman comes to our program, guaranteed to go out and get a job anywhere in the world, you know, $45,000 to $50,000 a year to start. And right now, the current top out is about $110,000 a year.
My father was a preacher. He used to tell me that if man were meant to fly, he'd have wings. And I said, well, no, we were meant to fly. We were just made to build our own wings, so we'd appreciate it.
Able to work on, operate, and even fly aircraft in the aviation industry.
Education, I feel, is the key to success in life. So I encourage all young men, young ladies, to get as much education as you can, learn as much as you can. And that way, not only will you be able to help yourself, you will be able to help others that follow behind you.
And the legacy is so important.
Absolutely.
I mean, because once the Tuskegee Airmen, which is what the Academy is named after, once they die and you don't have that.
Right, that tie that binds us to our history.
That tie, which brings you back to your history. And, you know, it's just, it's the pride, you know, it's the pride. It's, you know, the honor. It's tremendous that you were able to capture that now in your new school.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I ride on the coattails, you know, of what the Tuskegee Airmen did. You know, after 21 years, I spent 21 years active duty Air Force, you know, retired, and now I was able to get out and start my own company and what we're doing, you know, and I feel like I have an obligation to give back and make it, you know, an opportunity, you know, for our kids. Not only our kids. When I say our kids, I mean all kids. You know, white kids, black kids, women. You know, to come out here and oh yes, I've got you'd be surprised.
It's a great career for a woman.
You met my general aviation lead supervisor is a woman.
That's
right. She's one of the best mechanics I have. I joke all the time that if I could find 3 or 4 more like her, I'd fire half the guys I got working for me. You know, because she's really good. So absolutely.
And the fact that, you know, these young people are going to be riding on your coattails because what you did, which wasn't easy 18 years ago to form your company, which is an aviation maintenance provider company, that was not easy, as you know. You're just coming out of the military, correct?
That's right.
And that was not easy. With the resources that you had available, you have made it into a thriving and very successful business.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't take credit, but, you know, my wife has been with me the whole time. Well, a lot of times I would say if it wasn't for the fact that she was sitting there, you know, when things got lean and there were a lot of years, you know, you can imagine in this industry or any any business that you start, you know, you go through those ups and downs, those tough times. Yeah, but as you can imagine, in the airline industry, you know, 2008 hit and the bubble with a recession and things kind of folded back. It got kind of tough there for a while.
But let me ask you, speaking of hours and being late hours and early hours, because in the aviation maintenance,
we work 7 days a week.
You work 7 days a week,
24 hours a day. That's correct.
So do you literally have staff
at the airport 7 days a week, 24 hours
7 days a week, 24 hours, because
That's correct.
planes they take off at 6 in the morning, 5, 6.
We service them late at night. They take off first thing in the morning. They have to have maintenance, and in between the rest of the day they're coming and going. And if they have to be service or maintenance involved, I have to have people there to do it. So yeah, we're setting holidays, weekends. We're there all the time.
So when I'm sitting on a plane and all of a sudden, you know, the pilot comes on and just says, "Oh, well, we have
got a slight maintenance issue. We got to get a mechanic you know, if it's at Baltimore,
you're okay. We're okay.
Carriers,
right.
It'll be us coming out to take care of it.
If it's at Baltimore.
Or
now,
Reagan
of course,
or Dulles, depending on the carrier.
Depending on the carrier. I'm assuming in Dulles there's also...
Absolutely. Dulles and Reagan. You know, we're what's considered a contract maintenance company. Like I said, we are licensed FAA mechanics.
Right.
And not every airline can have their own aircraft mechanics at every location. It's just too expensive.
It's too expensive.
If you're flying to 100 different cities, locations, you can't have, you know, I mean, that's $1 million a location.
Well, yeah.
And so what they do is they contract with a licensed, certified company just like us. My guys get the exact same training. In fact, I would put my guys up against any airline mechanic out there for my knowledge of the skill base. And we go out and we would take care of, we get the same training, same requirements. We meet the same, skill set, and we would go out and take care of the airplane and service and sign it off.
So you literally don't have to have shifts of workers every 8 hours or every 6 hours?
We run in between the 8 to 12-hour shifts.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of times, like my guys work a 12-hour shift, 4 days on, 3 days off. Every other week they get 3 days off, and every week they're off 3 days and 4 days off every other week. So it actually works out pretty good for them.
Right. But Jerome, that's hard to manage.
Well, yeah, we do a pretty good job.
You must do a very good job.
Yeah, we're pretty good
how big
job.
is the company staff?
We've got, like I said, we got just over 50 mechanics total.
Wow.
Between our full-timers and our part-time
And you
guys.
need that many.
Absolutely. 3 locations. You think about it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
24/7 operation, that many, we need to have a staff that size.
On a day-to-day basis, though, what do you get, like maybe 10 calls or 15 calls?
Ooh.
It's hard to say.
It depends. It depends on the contract that we have.
Yeah.
You know, some contracts require us to have a man in the morning at the gate ready to go, for the morning departures. Right. Because as you well know, the start departures, those first flight of the morning is the most critical flight, because if that first flight is delayed, it backs up everything in the system throughout the entire day.
Right.
And so the importance of getting that first flight off on time, most airlines, a lot of our situation, we actually have a guy sitting on the gate ready to go in case there's an issue. So he can walk right up to the gate and he's there to take care of the issue. And that's subcontracts. Some contracts are called on-call contracts. So if they've got a problem, they call us, and within 20 minutes or so, we're at the airplane.
But you're right
to
there
take care of it.
Right on site with Baltimore.
Right, absolutely. So, but that's pretty much the way we do it.
Now, weather conditions. I mean, look, we had this huge windstorm. I mean, did that create?
When the weather's bad, we actually get more work.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Absolutely.
Yes, I was
Ice
say,
and
you
snow.
must, right?
You more issues, wind. We get to the point in time where, depending on what we're doing outside the airplane, we will shut down because it becomes a safety issue. If we're working inside the airplane, it's not that big a deal.
Right. But outside it is.
Outside it becomes an issue. It could be hazardous.
Issues you don't think about, because we think it's just.
Yeah.
Like you're unseen in a way.
Absolutely, right. We're in the background.
You are unseen. Yeah. You're in the background, so
we
don't.
If you see us, then you know we're not happy.
Right. And we know we're not happy.
Yeah, you're not happy. Yeah.
Right?
Like I said, we've got to fill those slots. Every day I've got positions that are available, and so the best way I really looked at it is if I train the mechanics, I know what their background and what their skill set is, and so by coming through our program, we know what kind of curriculum that we're gonna have, and the level we're gonna teach them to, and so I have no qualms hiring. In fact, I've hired every kid that's ever gone through the Tuskegee program that's come back, got their license. I brought them on and hired them.
Oh, really?
And they've gone on to work for airlines like Delta and Southwest and other airlines since.
And like you said, they're good. They're great paying jobs.
Absolutely.
I mean, where can you find that right out of the?
That's right. With a year of training, the skill set, and you walk around, you make between $40,000 and $50,000 a year to start.
That's terrific. That's terrific for these young. I mean, it's great.
Absolutely.
And you just grow, and you just become more experienced, and then it's a terrific career path.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So you want to, by next year, when your first class starts.
We will start our first class in August of this year.
Right, of August this year.
When the new school year starts, we're going to line ourselves to start with the new school year, and we'll start a class in August, and then we'll start a second class in February. So we're basically going to run 2 simultaneous classes a year, and we'll rotate to it. Like I said, 12 months after you start, you'll be finishing not with just a piece of paper that says you'll be finishing with a license, and then we'll roll you into the apprenticeship program where you get you get 3 months of hands-on training and real-world skill sets before we cut you loose to go out there and go to work for one of the airlines, the regional carriers out there.
Yeah. And your European certification, how long does that? Is that an extra?
Oh yeah, that's an extra requirement.
That's
we
an
go
extra
through it,
requirement.
we get qualified. The Europeans come in using the FAA, and it's a separate qualification that we maintain. And their standards are a little bit different than the FAA, but we have to meet. Well, once we meet those requirements, and they certify us, and we get European certification. It's every 2 years. We have to maintain that.
Okay, wow, that's a whole other. But
Yeah,
still, it's
every
really
2
important.
years is a recertification process. Yeah.
Because I would think in some of these areas in the world, and certainly some of these countries, I know for pilot training, a lot go to the UK.
Yes.
From the Middle East.
Right.
Correct?
Right. But the U.S. is still the friendliest and most, I guess, advantageous area to get trained anywhere in the world.
Really?
Right? Because just pretty much anywhere in the world, especially Europe, the UK, for instance, a lot of your training, there's additional costs because you pay for what we take for granted here. Our FAA go to airports and services and weather and file the flight plans and stuff is free.
Oh.
You pay for that in Europe.
Oh, you do?
Oh, absolutely.
We take
you
a
pay
lot
to
for
file
granted.
a flight. We take a lot for granted. You pay to file a flight plan to go from one airport to the other one. The route you pay. Here, you pay when you land at the airport a small user fee, but as far as the other services that's provided by the FAA,
Really?
it's free.
And I know
no
in
cost.
some areas, weather is not always,
Absolutely.
conditional. It's, you have better weather conditions. So obviously it's better for the pilots.
Yeah. Right. From a training standpoint.
From a training standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about South America? I thought there was also though. Brazil or
there's a lot of. Right now, you can think about it. The two biggest growing aviation economies out there are China and India.
Oh,
You can imagine that
India.
based on the population.
Right.
Right now China is outgrowing and pacing everybody when it comes to growth, and that includes the airline industry. The same thing with India. But here again, everywhere in the world, aviation is growing. More and more people are flying.
More airports
airlines
are being
coming
built.
up. More airports are being built everywhere but here in the U.S.
Well,
our infrastructure
right.
is suffering, but we're it's still there. Yeah.
But I will say I was through the Charlotte airport a couple of months ago.
Right.
I was so impressed.
Absolutely. With what they've done.
How expansive. Where it used to be a small, it's not. It's a sizable. It's a large airport.
Yeah, the airports are continue to grow. You imagine, just like I say, you look at this area. You actually got 4 major airports. Most people don't think about it.
Like 4.
But you got Dulles, Reagan,
right,
Baltimore.
Right.
You know what the other one is? Andrews Air Force Base.
Andrews Air Force
Most people don't think about it, but Andrews Air Force Base,
really?
Most of the workforce over there from a maintenance standpoint are all civilian contractors, licensed AMPs that work on
Andrews.
At Andrews Air Force Base.
But isn't all government, military?
It's military. There's a mixture, but predominantly most of the work is done by civilian contractors, so contract mechanics.
But do you do this work there?
I'm not doing that yet. But we're working on
that.
Working on that.
That's great. Yeah,
trying to get a contract and bid for work like that too at government installations.
So we saw the video. You're launching grand opening May 5th. We invited Larry Hogan, Governor Larry Hogan,
right?
Hope to have him there.
Hopefully he comes and also both Baltimore and PG or Anne Arundel County officials. We really want to be able to showcase what we're doing. And we think that we're doing a pretty good job, and we want those people to come out and support us. And here again, we are a nonprofit. So we are looking for donations to the foundation because that's how we're going to help the young people pay for their education.
Absolutely. So on that note, can people go to your website now?
They can go to the website now. It's up.
Okay.
And it's aviation. It's www.aviationmx.net.
Great.
Aviationmx.net.
Okay, that's easy. Okay. Well, Jerome, thank you. It was wonderful, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
To our country, and thank you what you're doing for young people.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you. You've been watching The Next Word. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.